It's another edition of Time About the Movies. Today we're taking a look at the films of October 4th, 2002. We only got 2 movies to look at today, so let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and jump on into it. We'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is Brett Ratner's Red Dragon.
His teeth look like I need your advice, Dr. Lecter. I'm all ears.
He smashes mirrors and uses the pieces. Wears latex gloves so we've got no prints.
What do we make of that symbol?
Marks the red dragon.
May I touch your face?
I am becoming more than a man.
I am the dragon. I regret it came to this, but every game must have its end.
Red Dragon, rated R.
So after escaping death from the skin of his own teeth while on the hunt for the elusive madman Dr. Hannibal Lecter, once again played by Anthony Hopkins, the now retired and emotionally scarred FBI agent Will Graham, played here by Edward Norton, finds himself back in action, reluctantly as he has to find another monstrous serial killer known as the Tooth Fairy, who's terrorizing Baltimore. Graham turns to Lecter, the evil mastermind who's been under lock and key for 3 long years, to lend a hand in this challenging and time-sensitive case. But to delve deep into the demented mind of a killer, one must first face his inner demons, and Will already knows that his insane imprisoned assistant is a gifted manipulator. So essentially, can Griffin find the horrifying Red Dragon in time before another family suffers? So this is directed by Brett Ratner. This is technically the 4th film based off of Hannibal Lecter. There was also Manhunter, which this is basically a remake of, but of course Anthony Hopkins didn't play Hannibal Lecter until Silence of the Lambs, and then Hannibal. And considering that the last film was directed by Ridley Scott, you would think that that movie was the more enjoyable film. I mean, Ridley Scott at that time was still seen as a very well-received director, while Brett Ratner was more of a mixed bag director. Nobody really knew what he could really do outside of the comedies that made his name, like the Rush Hour movies and Money Talks and The Family Man. And then he has this movie here, and you think that this movie probably will not do as well, but funny enough, this is actually a much better movie than the Ridley Scott Hannibal film, which is really hard to believe. But the big differences between Hannibal and Red Dragon is that the story here makes a lot more sense. I mean, like I said, it's basically kind of a remake of Manhunter. It was based off of the same book of the same name, but I think Manhunter did it much better with Michael Mann directing it. William Peterson was involved in that film. But in terms of the Hannibal Lecter films with Anthony Hopkins, this is probably the second best one of the 3 he was in. This is obviously better than Hannibal, but still not quite as good as something like The Silence of the Lambs. And, you know, I have my thoughts about The Silence of the Lambs winning Best Picture, but it's still a competently made film. This one is just as enjoyable. Not perfect all the way through, but it definitely has a lot more elements to it that I thought were pretty good in this film than in Hannibal. This one has a story that at least it makes more sense. The stuff that Hannibal Lecter does in this movie makes a lot more sense. You can buy more into him and Edward Norton working off each other in this movie. A great cast. It also includes Ray Fiennes as the other killer, Harvey Keitel, Emily Watson, Mary Louise Parker, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and it's Brett Ratner showing what he can do with something outside of his norm. I mean, say what you will about the guy. The guy, in this particular case, made a pretty good movie, all things considering that this is completely outside of his normal territory. And Brett Ratner definitely does give it his own unique edge as a director. I mean, it really shows what he's capable of doing with something like this that, again, completely outside of his normal territory, and I think it's done pretty well. I'm not going to say it's the best of the movies that features Hannibal Lecter in it. I'd still say Silence of the Lambs is the best one overall, but this is a film that took a lot of people by surprise, especially considering who was making this film. Like, you would think the Ridley Scott movie would be better, but that one was way too pretentious. It was way too... It had a story that did not really make a whole lot of sense. It just felt like they were throwing Hannibal Lecter in there as more of a side character in his own movie, because he really didn't do all that much in that movie. And the stuff that he did do was not notable whatsoever. At least in this movie, you can definitely get a sense that there was more emphasis on bringing more of Hannibal Lecter into this one. And I thought it worked pretty well for a film that's supposed to be a prequel to The Silence of the Lambs. You can buy into this more than I would say something like the sequel to The Silence of the Lambs with Hannibal. Would I say that this is better than Manhunter? It's kind of tough to tell. I mean, it goes back and forth. Like, I still think Manhunter is still the slightly better film overall, but this one comes pretty close to being as good. Probably, if I had to think about it overall, this is probably the second or third best film with Hannibal Lecter involved in it. Second overall with Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter in it. And I mean, really, there's not much more I can say about this one. Red Dragon, pretty good movie. I'd say definitely check it out, especially if you want to see something different that comes from Brett Ratner. So let's go ahead and take a look at our last movie, a completely different film, a radically completely different film, and that is Jonah, a Veggietales movie.
Number 4. They may be fresh. They may be feisty. But soon, they may be lush. Archibald asparagus, Bob the tomato, Larry the cucumber, and introducing a caterpillar named Khalil.
My mother was a caterpillar. My father was a worm, but I am okay with that now.
Jonah, a Veggietales movie, rated G, only in theaters tomorrow.
Based off the popular animated series of videos and specials for kids, I guess this was a TV series too, but the big screen debut of the Veggietales. When the singing veggies encounter some car trouble, they're stranded at old rundown seafood joint where nothing is quite as it seems. As Bob the Tomato and the kids settle in to wait for a tow truck to help get their van back on the road, the pirates who don't do anything, which is a completely different movie compared to this, but they share a light story about a guy named Jonah. Jonah, who was kind of like a mailman, except his message just came straight from God. Jonah loves his job until the day comes when he has to deliver a message to the people of Nivea. Instead of carrying out his mission, Jonah turns and sets sails in the opposite direction on board a pirate ship. Soon, Jonah embarks on an adventure that leads him into the belly of a whale and to the heart of Nivea through a hilarious showdown. I don't know much about the Veggietales, quite honestly. I mean, they were past my time. I was already 13 years old when this came out, so I really had no interest in this movie. So, forgive me if I don't know too much about the pirates who don't do anything, even though I know that's the name of the second movie, which I guess is it's the same kind of a film, except I think that one doesn't have much of the Jesus aspect to it. But it's because this is more of a Christian musical comedy, just like how the series started off with. And I think the second one was more kind of mainstream in a way. But I don't know. I can't really say for certain how I feel about this, because I've never really seen this show, honestly, to really know for certain. But I mean, from the looks of it, it doesn't look that bad. It doesn't look like a great movie either. The CG kind of looks mixed at best. It felt like Jimmy Neutron, where it felt like it doesn't have that the fluidity and the quality that a Pixar film at the time had for it. But it didn't. It looked like on the same level as something like a Jimmy Neutron, or even something like an Ice Age, where the CG wasn't perfected yet, but it wasn't terrible by any means. And as far as the story goes, it's just kind of like, yeah, I don't really know. Like I said, I really have no idea, because I've never seen these movies. I've never seen the show in particular, but they're not made for me. And I think they're made specifically for kids. And I think kids probably will get a lot of enjoyment out of it. Even if you're not a big Veggietales fan, I think kids can still find some stuff in here to really appreciate. But again, I can't really say for certain, because I haven't seen anything Veggietales, so I can't really say how good the quality of these movies are. But this is something that's clearly made for kids, and I think kids can get a handle of this. It doesn't feel like, and it also doesn't feel like a film that's insulting their intelligence either. Like, it feels like a film that is trying to teach you valuable lessons, life lessons, and also lessons about the Bible and all that and stuff that happened in there. And on that level, I will go ahead and give it credit for that. Even though I've never seen these films, I'd say for kids, it's probably fine. But for me personally, as somebody who's never seen it before, I probably wouldn't get too much out of it if I was an adult, but my kids would probably enjoy it. So, yeah, not much more to say about this one, Jonah, a Veggietales movie. So with that said, that's going to wrap up time about the movies for this week, and I kind of wish I knew that next week was going to be a packed week, because, oh god, 12 movies to look at next time. 12 notable movies, including Brown Sugar, Jason Statham's The Transporter, White Oleander, Tuck Everlasting, Knock Around Guys, the follow-up to American Psycho, The Rules of Attraction, Pokemon Forever, the first Pokemon film released by Miramax Films, Adam Sandler's Punch Drunk Love, Guy Ritchie's infamous Swept Away, Michael Moore's Bowling for Combine, Below, and Jerry Seinfeld, Comedian. 12 movies to look at, so next week should be a very, very packed week of movies to talk about here. The next episode, I should say, next week. You get what I'm saying. So, 12 movies to look at, so that's going to be quite an adventure. So I hope you will join me for that on the next episode. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, Please hit the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So with that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time. And until then, as always, take care.